Totten. I'm a technical evangelist at Microsoft. I work on Windows Azure, so probably a lot of stuff that most of you have never heard of. I see a lot of Macs in the room. That's all right. I have a Mac too. So today I'm going to talk about cloud or Node Copters in the cloud. So I actually just got here today. Unfortunately, this is a super busy time of the year for me, so I wasn't able to attend the full conference. My understanding is you guys saw a bunch of robots, drones, things like that, like 52 Node Copters. So we're not going to go over that again. I know you've all seen that. But what we're going to do is talk about how we can do some crazy stuff with these Node Copters, with the AR drones connecting through the cloud. So I want to preface this. This demo is like super crazy hardware-wise. I brought my own router. I have this. So there's two possibilities of this. It's either going to be awesome and we're all going to have fun, or nothing's going to work and I'm just going to sob up here. So hopefully that doesn't happen. So anyway. So again, talking quickly. So I kind of already did the intro. Why are we doing this? So actually, really quick, what we're going to show. I'm going to do mostly code. So what I'm going to show here, what scenario I'm going to show is basically we're going to build a local app, both running on my Mac here, but a local app that's receiving messages from the cloud. And I'll explain a little bit more how we're going to do that in a bit. And then we're going to build a controller app that's going to send messages. So the idea is we could be remote and actually fly this Node Copter. And we're going to use a queuing service in the cloud in Windows Azure to actually communicate between the two of these. So why are we doing this? Well, there's a couple reasons. The first one, I really wanted to use my corporate expense account to buy one of these things, so I had to think of a reason to do so. The second reason, I thought, what would be a really fun way to really just scare the crap out of my girlfriend? And I thought, if I just had this Node Copter sitting in the living room and flew this thing, while I'm gone, that would be really fun for me and probably get me in a lot of trouble. Also, pets. It's super good on pets. So this is basically what we're going to build here. We're gonna build a local app controlling through the cloud, controlling our helicopter for the amusement of the evildoer to scare the pets and the clip art folks in that Microsoft legal approved photo I'm allowed to use. So a really quick little bit, a sales pitch here. So I do of course work for Microsoft. They only pay me if I tell you what I do. So again, we're going to use Windows Azure. I'm going to make this 15 seconds really quick. We're going to skip the marketing crap. We're going to talk about Windows Azure. So how many people here have actually heard of Windows Azure? That is shocking. Okay, how many people have used it? Okay, cool. So the only thing I'm really going to say about Windows Azure is there we go. We've really done a lot for Node.js. We love Node.js. So it's not all about Microsoft, right? It's not all about .NET. .NET certainly works super well if you do that. I assume no one in here does. Again, judging by the sea of Macs, there's a guy with an HP there. Don't be embarrassed. So I left mine in my hotel, so I thought I'd get lynched. So basically we've put a lot of effort into basically making Node.js work really well on Windows Azure. We actually have a number of customers building very large applications using a number of our services on Node.js running in Windows Azure. As I'll show today, we have a whole CLI tools and a whole SDK that works entirely on Mac. I'm not using Windows, so we are definitely not, even though it's set Windows, it's all about open source Node.js and other things. So I would definitely encourage you to try it out. There's a lot of free, we've got all these free programs, we like to give things away for free, but there's a ton of stuff we give away for free for Windows Azure, search for BizSpark or any number of things, but there's a whole bunch of ways to get a lot of free Windows Azure. So that's the only sales pitch I'll do. I apologize for that. Again, I only get paid if I say that. So WindowsAzure.com. I'm actually really happy that most of you have heard about it. It means I guess I'm doing a good job. So for the rest of the demo, we're just going to code. So this is the part that's either going to leave me weeping in tears or everyone clapping and cheering in my head. Fantasy. So everyone seems very tired here. I've had 3 Red Bulls this morning. There's free Red Bulls out there. Why haven't you guys been chugging these things? Anytime I'm given free Red Bull, I drink a lot of them. It's very dangerous. So I know some of you may work at Facebook. I know there are Red Bulls there all the time, and I think I would die if I worked there. We only get free soda, which makes it harder to ingest large quantities of caffeine. So let's zoom in on this a little bit. Tell me if you can't see it. So what I'm going to show again is we're going to really quickly, in 18 minutes, hopefully build an app that we can use Windows Azure to basically communicate from the client to the cloud and make this thing fly and probably crash. So let's give it a go. So I have an Express.js app basically already set up. We probably all know how to do that. I don't want to explain that. We don't have time to explain that. So I've got a basic Express.js app. I've got a few modules installed, the AR drone module, Windows Azure, and then Jade and all that crap. So let's build our server-side app first. So this is, again, just a raw Express app. So I'm going to build let's do our client-side app first. That makes more sense. So what I'm going to do is build a client-side application that receives messages. Oh, I'm supposed to gesture to this monitor. That receives messages from the cloud and tells our drone to fly, to land. That's all I'm going to actually do, because otherwise I know I will crash it. So fly and land. We've all seen the other things it can do yesterday. And then we're also, if we have time, we're going to do some stuff with some logging data. We, of course, could do a lot more, take photos, stream video, all of the fun things. But I think we're pretty short on time. We won't have time to show that. So I'm not actually going to code in front of you, but I do have some. I've cheated. Given the lack of time. So the first thing I want to do is just use our Windows Azure SDK to actually read, we're starting with the client, new file. Skipped a step here. So actually, hang on, I'm gonna go even faster. I'm gonna cheat even more. Apologize, since we're running short on time. All right, so let's copy some code and client.js. Save that. So we're basically we've require our AR drone module, and I have my drone set on this IP address on my own custom access point here. So there's a few things I'm going to do. The first thing is I want to actually receive some messages from the service bus. We'll send these messages in a second, but service bus is basically a very simple queuing service in Windows Azure. So we're going to connect up to this, and we're just going to continually pull Windows Azure service bus for queues. Excuse my code. This is really awful, but this is just for demos, so that's why it's not very robust, but hopefully you'll forgive me. Let me zoom in on that, and let me know if I'm talking too fast. Again, I have had 3 Red Bulls. So I have a lot to get through in a very short period of time. So this is our code here. What we're doing is, again, we're using the Node.js SDK for Windows Azure. We're creating a service bus queue client, and then we're going to continually read from the queue. And actually, let's just set interval, and we'll do receive message. I never can spell on stage. That's why I use snippets. All right, receive message, and let's just do it. So what we're going to do is just set an interval here, and we're going to call our service bus every second and check for a message, and then we're going to issue a command. So we need a few commands to actually control our drone, and these are things you guys have already seen before, I think. Client. So let's just do this really quick. Commands. So we've got a couple commands here for takeoff and land. So let's actually client takeoff. No wait, what is it? Yeah, takeoff. That's why I called it takeoff. So client takeoff and client. I don't know why I didn't fill those. Client land. Oops. Again, can't spell on stage. Land. So to recap, this is our simple client. And this will be running on our local machine. I thought about actually running this on a separate computer, but there's the issue of 2 monitors. I also thought I could run this on my Surface on Windows to show that Node works, that we could use both. And then to make it even more portable, I could duct tape my Surface to the drone. But then I discovered that it wouldn't fly if it had a computer top. You guys don't like my humor. Come on, are you guys asleep? Was everyone not drinking last night? What's going on? Wake up! I'm gonna get louder unless people start laughing. I can't handle it. Ooh. All right. So I'm trying. Let's have fun. I want to have fun. All right. So I know that most of the sessions here are about learning something useful. Again, I'm going to repeat, this is only about doing something completely ridiculous and kind of having some fun with it. So let's try to have a little bit of fun. So we've got our service bus receiver. We're going to continually pull 4 messages. Obviously, these messages could be more sophisticated. I just have a string, takeoff, land. We're not going to do rotate because I've had troubles with that in the past, and then we do all kinds of crazy things. Then the thing's flying across the room, and someone gets hurt. You know, Microsoft, a lawsuit, all kinds of stuff. I get fired. So we're going to just do takeoff and land, up and down is safe. But we could, of course, do more sophisticated things, pass more data, altitude, things like that. So this is our client. And we're going to run this here in just a second, but let's build our server. So a couple code snippets here for brevity. So service bus. So we're going to again connect to that same service bus using our Azure SDK, service bus queue, and we're going to we give it the send command function here, and then I'm just going to add a few routes. We're going to do this again really terribly with just some get requests routes. So we've got our takeoff route, and we'll just redirect back to home, and our land get. And then let's just add some very fancy UI. For those who have seen me speak before, probably none of you, you will know that I'm world-renowned for my great user interface abilities. There we go, and that's that. Yeah, see, someone's impressed. All right, so let's just make sure we got everything. So we have our client. We've got our server here running Express. A couple simple functions, sending some messages to the queue, command takeoff and land. And then we've got our client, which would be running locally, receiving messages from the queue. And if all goes according to plan, we'll be able to do some fun stuff. So let's run our server. If I can type. Node. What is happening? Node, there we go. App.js. All right, we got that running. And client.js. So again, rookie mistake. You guys can shout at me if you see something like, you missed a semicolon. Or noob. All right, all right. So we've got our client JS. Again, remember, even though these are all running on one machine, these in practice, when I'm harassing friends, relatives, family, pets, would be running on 2 separate machines, and I would be sitting somewhere remote. All right. So let's go to our unnamed browser here. Everyone get that? They don't have Internet Explorer on Mac. I work for Microsoft, so I'm not allowed to say the name. No, I'm just kidding. So, I'm not really. That would be. I just get like I get $100 deducted from my paycheck, so that's fine. So we've got our very fancy app up here with our takeoff and our land command. Now, hopefully this is still connected, and let's go ahead and click takeoff, and this is going to enqueue a message. What do we do? Uh-oh. Oh, see, there we go. We got to save things, obviously. All right. Now, let's try that again. Takeoff. Yes. And it takes off, and then we're it worked. So happy. And we'll land. And again, that's all we're going to do. I know there's a lot more fun we can do, but it will fly around the room, and it'll crash, and bad things will happen. So that's really the main thing I want to show. So this to me, like, even though again it's pretty much useless. But I think it's a lot of fun. And really, like, you can imagine a lot of scenarios where something like this would be useful. Obviously, there's like a bunch of industrial scenarios or remote sensors, remote devices that you could actually build an app like this, pushing messages from any network through a service like Windows Azure Service Bus queues and receiving that locally. So the last thing I want, how much time do we have? we have, oh, sweet, we've got enough time. So the next thing I want to show you is, so we've basically sent data using the cloud. Now I want to use another service in Windows Azure. This is a simple storage service, and actually save some data up there. So the next thing, we're just going to take some of the telemetry data. For those who have, again, done Node, the AR programming before, it sends back basically telemetry data, like its current altitude, various rotation data, things like that. So what I want to do is actually just read that data from the Node Copter and actually save that up into Windows Azure. So let's go back. This we'll do on our client application. So let's go ahead and just add some more code I already have prepared here. Drone blob. So for this, I'm going to use our Windows Azure blob storage, which is basically just a binary service for storing any binary data. We also have some like table service for storing schemaless tabular data. We of course have like SQL in the cloud, MySQL, various things like that. If you want to use something with SQL, we have through hosting providers. We have of course MongoDB, things like that. But this we're just going to basically store a JSON text object into our blob storage just for simplicity. So we've got, so again, this is our save function, connect to Windows Azure blob storage, and then create a blob and save that let's create a new blob just so we have an empty one to prove that it is working. So let's go back to, so I'm just going to go to my Azure portal here and storage and cloud drone, and let's just make a new container. I've already got some logging data in there, but so we have a fresh one. Let's call this log3. And we'll make a public container so everyone can see all our fancy logging data. Oh, log3, that's all right. And let's just change that to log3. So what we're going to do, again, on the client, we're going to receive data from our copter as it's flying, and we're going to just save it back up to the Windows Azure blob so we can look at it. That's really all. That's all we have, just to look at it. So let's, and we need to fire an event, client on nav data. So this is the AR drone SDK is firing nav data and save data. So if you notice, I'm doing kind of something silly here. I'm only going to save it like an arbitrarily every millisecond that's divisible by 100, just because basically this event gets fired like I don't know, it's like forever, but it gets fired constantly. So like we end up with a lot of data. So I'm just kind of like limiting that to an arbitrarily smaller amount of data. So this is all we need to do to now capture data from our drone and save it up into blob storage. So let's go ahead and stop our clients here, our client, and run that again. And now we are going to be capturing nav data. So let's launch this again. And it's still working. Awesome. And now let's go leave it running. So we see we're going to save some log data. And we'll land it now. Awesome. It's less exciting the second time. And now we should see that in our portal here, we have got some data. So let's go ahead and copy the URL. Since we made this public, we can just browse this. And there we go. We've got all our log data saved. So pretty simple. We have a few more minutes left. So what I want to do, I think we have time. Now I want to actually deploy this application up into the web app up into Windows Azure. So and this is the part that gets very dangerous, so that you guys can decide when it takes off and lands. So for Node.js, we have a service called Windows Azure Websites, which is basically a super easy way to deploy applications into the cloud. So let's just go ahead and create a Windows Azure website, and let's just call this JSConf. Oh, hey, it's not taken. Cool beans. So let's choose our region, East US, and create JSConf. So with Windows Azure Websites, there's a variety of different deployment options, but the one that makes most sense for Node developers is we can deploy right up to Windows Azure Websites with Git. So our site's created, And let's go ahead and select this. And go to our dashboard. Oops, not go to our dashboard, go back. And set up deployment. So we can do a couple different things. We can actually deploy with continuous integration from GitHub or from Dropbox and from like Bitbucket or whatever, or we can just push directly to a local Git or to a Git endpoint just in our deployment servers. So we'll take just a second to create that Git endpoint, and then I'll initialize. I'll set this up, and while this is. And here's our Git server. So let's just quickly push this up into Windows Azure. So I'm going to initialize this as a Git repo again, just a regular Git repo remote Azure. Oops, add Azure. And I didn't put it ignore, so we're going to push the node modules. We don't actually. That's all right. We don't actually have to push up the modules. Of course, those will be installed the first time. Those will be installed from packages, but I forgot to create the git ignore file, so we're just going to push those up anyway, which is fine. Git push Azure master, although it'll take a little longer, so it'll make it quite a bit less cool, but that's all right. So again, we're just pushing this website up to Windows Azure websites. Yeah, port good. So we're just pushing this up with Git to Windows Azure websites to a website that'll be at jsconf.azurewebsites.net. And I should not have committed the modules because they're huge compared to the site, but that's all right. So normally you would obviously ignore the modules and not commit that into your Git repo, as would be best practice. And Windows Azure websites will pull those and install those when you push the site, so making it much faster. So we'll see here our deployment happens, and this just takes a few seconds. A few seconds longer. It always takes longer when you're demoing, right? Anyone have any questions while we're waiting? Oh, there we go. No questions. All right. JSConf.azurewebsites.net. So, yeah, good question. So, do native modules work? So, yes. So, Windows Azure Websites is running on Windows. We are Microsoft, after all. So we do support running Linux in Windows Azure through virtual machines. Our websites, which is basically a higher level, purely managed hosting environment, does run Windows. So basically any module, I mean, most native modules at this point do work on Windows. There's certainly a number that don't, though. If they don't build on Windows, they're not going to work on Windows Azure websites. We want to fix that. Like, oh my God, I forgot that this, oh man. See, this is why I only made it take off and landing. Otherwise, like, you guys would be flying around the room and there would be a lawsuit and it would be bad. I would definitely get fired. So, cool. Yeah, so this is my demo. Hopefully this was fun. And now, hopefully, some of you, I'm not actually recommending this, but hopefully you can use it for some sort of entertaining purposes, scaring friends and family and pets. Not pets, so that was a joke. That would actually be mean. I wouldn't do that. But friends and family, of course. So back to the Node modules. Yeah, so we're working on it. I don't know what the solution will be, whether we have build servers that are Linux, whether we eventually have like Linux servers for Node. But yeah, there is a limitation with that right now. Cool. And you guys are fighting over it now. I like it. All right. So, all right, we're just out of time, so hopefully that was somewhat enjoyable and maybe a little useful. But like I said, for Windows Azure, if you are a startup or if you're building something and you want free hosting, just go to Microsoft.com/BizSpark. We've got this program that basically we're going to give you it's like $6,000 a year of free Windows Azure to host your stuff on. So shameless plug, but you get a lot of free stuff. So I would definitely encourage you to check that out. If you do happen to have an MSDN subscription already through work or whatever, you also get a ton of free Windows Azure through that. So thank you very much. Hopefully this was enjoyable, and enjoy the rest of the day.